In 2002, people were outraged from what they saw. Unfortunately for them, they made a number 2. These are the words that were spoken in the original trailer for Jackass 2, which was considered to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, comedy films of all time. Take that, Airplane! Released in 2006, Jackass 2 sees the return of the Jackass crew, as they face off against new stunts that they ever had before since the first film from 2002. And it gets even wilder, crazier, and funnier than ever before. Every time when the Jackass crew needs to conquer something, they need to conquer it more. And they can do it with a lot of gravitas and a lot more pain than ever before since the first film. And they sure have more of them. They got more bowls, more disastrous elements, and a whole lot more to take a stick at. But what makes Jackass 2 so important is not really the stunts that were shown throughout the entire film, not even the drinking of the horse milk. Nope, it is the ending that is so out of nowhere, you have to see it to believe it. So the question is Jackass 2 an iconic masterpiece, or is it just another piece of the Jackass pie? Okay guys, you're not gonna believe this. This is gonna be the very first Jackass film that I will talk about. Clearly because I've already seen it. But ever since Paramount did that 24-hour stream of the entire Jackass trilogy, you know what? I guess I'm gonna have to do it. So why don't we decide to look into it by going to 10 things that you may not know about Jackass number 2. Which for timing purposes, I'm actually gonna be calling it Jackass 2. Why? Because that's exactly what I refer to the film as. Like, instead of calling it Flying High, I'm gonna call it Airplane. So, why not decide to do the same for Jackass 2? So, let's all get our hands caught in the bear trap as we check it out! Number 10. Jackass 2 was made because of Wild Boys. Jackass 1 was released in 2002 and it was actually a huge successful hit, making it almost $18 million over a $5 million budget, which is actually pretty good if you ask me. Even though Jackass 1 was considered to be the grand finale for the Jackass crew, there was never going to be any more Jackass material to follow. That was until Wild Boys came out, which aired from 2003 to 2006, which sees Steve-O and Christopher Pontius going on various wildlife adventures and traveling around the globe as usual. Although it was not considered to be a true spin-off to Jackass, when the Jackass cast show up in guest appearances, it was pretty clear that this was of course actually a spin-off to Jackass, where the cast actually did make several other guest appearances here and there, specifically and notably Johnny Knoxville, who appeared in seasons 2, 3, and 4 of Wild Boys.
It's not happy. A pissed off, tailless whip scorpion.
And it's because of Knoxville's appearance in Wild Boys, Jackass 2 would be made immediately. So that is why How to Milk a Horse was being shot for Wild Boys, only for it to not air on MTV. Hence why it was included in Jackass 2. Number 9. Original title. It's here we get to the title of Jackass 2, which has been commonly referred to as Jackass number 2. It's quick, it's sharp, it's to the point, and gets you going for all the crazy stunts that you're about to see in this particular film. Unlike Jackass 1, of which that film was commonly referred to as Jackass the Movie. However, the number 2 subtitle was so important it even made it into the film's original trailer. However, originally it was not going to be called Jackass 2, nor even Jackass number 2. It was originally going to be called Jackass the Sequel. Yep, that's right, it was originally going to be called Jackass the Sequel. However, they decided not to call it Jackass the Sequel, because it reminded them of another film called Airplane 2 the Sequel, hence why the subtitle of that film is The Sequel, which means that the subtitle for Jackass 2 would be the same as the one for Airplane 2, the sequel. To which they decided to call it Jackass number 2, even though I would prefer if they would call it Jackass 2. Yeah, I went there. Number 8. Return of the Jackass Crew. The Jackass Crew made their return appearances for Jackass 2, bringing in some iconic comedic moments that everyone got you laughing, with people like Johnny Knoxville, as mentioned, Christopher Pontius, Ben Margera, Steve-O, Ryan Dunn, Jason Acuna, Preston Lacey, who had less lines in this film than he did in the first film, Aaron McGahee, and Dave England, with Jet Tremaine returning as director and producer, along with her director, Spike Jonze. MTV Productions returned to co-produce the film with Dick House Entertainment, along with Paramount Pictures returning to co-produce and distribute the film, as they did with a bunch of other classics, including Airplane, Psycho, The Godfather, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and the Superman cartoons, just to name but a few. So it seems that everyone from Jackass 1 returned to do Jackass 2. Number 7. Guest appearances. Jackass 2 features a long line of guest appearances from certain people that you probably may not know or do know, including Jim Carroll, Tony Hawk, Brandon Novak, Sergio Sobreri, Clyde Singleton, that one guy from Broken Lizard, Jason Taylor, and 3-6 Mafia, just to name a few. But oddly, the weirdest guest appearance to ever show up in Jackass 2 is John Waters. What? Yep, John Waters is in this film. If you may not know who he is, then you probably might not remember this film. Yep, that's right, he directed Polyester. So it went from Polyester to this. What the heck am I thinking about?
I'm ashamed of myself. I really am.
Number 6. Filming and injuries. Jackass 2 was filmed all the way back in 2006, except for How to Milk a Horse, which was filmed all the way back in 2005. Although some parts of it were shot in the US, it was decided to film it internationally, where it was filmed in some countries like the Gulf of Mexico, Argentina, and India, with the puppet show being the very first scene to be filmed. There are some injuries that happen both on screen and on set of Jackass 2, such as when during the brand scene, Ben Margera got his butt infected and was hospitalized. Dave England cut his butt up during the fire hose rodeo scene for whatever reason. Johnny Knoxville was not unconscious while making it. Steve-O got his cheek punctured by a hook twice. During the medicine ball scene, Aaron McGahee snapped one of his fingers. For the big red rocket scene, Johnny Knoxville suffered a whole lot of injuries when the rocket misfired and failed to launch, killing a bunch of crew members immediately. And the rest of it is for the finale, such as Preston Lacey flying through the air for 20 feet, crushing the camera stand and getting knocked out, Dave England and Aaron McGahee accidentally hitting their heads on the ground, Ryan Dunn getting a blood clot while being dragged by a horse, and you know that busted Keaton wall stunt thing where the house falls over Knoxville? Well, apparently Knoxville was told by the crew not to move. And sure enough, he literally moved, causing the whole house prop to fall over him. Thankfully, his daughter was there to see that, but not to worry, he got busted by a wrecking ball, as well as an appearance from Trev Taylor. But I'm sure the Jackass crew are gonna be fine already anyway, except for the fact that Ryan Dunn was killed off during a car accident in 2011, as well as Publius getting his hand bitten off by a shark. Yeah, that happened. Number 5. The trailer featured a lost deleted scene. So a trailer was put together for Jackass 2, which featured several negative comments for Jackass 1.
A new low, a plunge into depravity, a sad commentary on our degenerating culture, a disgusting, repulsive, grotesque spectacle.
Which is actually true, despite the fact that Jackass 1 is anything but negative. The trailer segues into feature footage from Jackass 2, specifically footage from both the main film and the closing credits. However, for some reason, the trailer featured a scene that was going to be in the film, but was not included. It was to feature Johnny Knoxville and Bam Margera hopping into a Lamborghini, getting a tooth removed from an old guy.
Let's remove this tooth!
The scene is called the Lamborghini Tooth Pull, and that old guy was Don Vito, who appeared in several episodes of Viva La Bam. So how did this scene get made? Well, according to Steve-O, Bam Margera had a deal with Don Vito, where he told him, "I will tie your tooth around it, and I will put it to my Lamborghini, and if you will let me do that, then I will buy you a set of dentures." So the scene was put together and was shown in the original theatrical trailer. However, several months before the film's release, Don Vito got into a whole lot of trouble when he was arrested at a Colorado event, where he did something to a young girl. And so because of this, the Lamborghini 2 pull with Don Vito was cut from the film. And not only that, his whole entire appearance, and even the human Newton's cradle. In fact, there were several scenes that didn't even make it into Jackass 2, some of which appeared in the closing credits. But it better be nice that there would have been an extended version of that scene, hopefully somewhat by now. As for the Lamborghini 2 pull, well, it did see the light of day in Jackass 3D. Only instead of Don Vito, it's Aaron McGahee taking the part. Good for him! Well, it's a good thing they actually did that, because I hope to God that there will be a version that will include the Don Vito version of that scene. Number 4. Different versions of Jackass 2. There are several different versions made for Jackass 2, several of which feature several scenes that didn't even make it into the final film. First, there was the unrated version of Jackass 2, which was put out in 2006 on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, and on every streaming service including Netflix. The unrated version features several differences from the theatrical cut, despite the fact that it's the exact same version as the theatrical cut, with some additional bits and pieces here and there. First off, the differences to How to Milk a Horse. The music in the background was timed correctly, whereas in the theatrical version, it was timed incorrectly. There are some slight extended versions of the shots that were used for that scene, and it also features an added close-up shot of the horse's dick. Unfortunately, I cannot show that. And of course, the reason why you should look at the unrated version as opposed to the theatrical version, Christopher Pontius drinking the horse milk. In the theatrical version, that bit was covered by a black bar just as soon as he was about to drink it. In the unrated version, however, it was fully uncensored the way it was meant to be seen. In some copies of the theatrical version, as well as the version that appeared on the YouTube 24-hour stream, the word censored appears on the black bar. And of course, there was the leech healer. In the theatrical version, it was only Steve-O that gets tested by the leech, where the leech bites his eyeball. And in the theatrical version of that scene, just before Steve-O gets tested, he says this:
"If leeches are that great at healing, let's see what they can do for my eyeball."
However, in the unrated version, it wasn't Steve-O that gets tested. He was the second one to get tested on. The first to get tested on was Dave England and his balls. Plus, Steve-O's line was changed from, "If leeches are good at healing, let's see what they can do to my eyeball," to, "And now for the grand finale, the leech monocle." This is a way better version than the theatrical version, and I highly recommend you should look at the unrated version. Then of course there was Jackass 2.5, which was released the following year in 2007, which features some additional bits that were not shown in Jackass 2. Although they were made for Jackass 2, it wasn't even included, except for the Don Vito tooth pull. So of course they had a film to actually put them in, and that is all that they got. Plus the film opens and ends with a patent ripoff, so there's that.
Now I'd like to present to you Jackass 2.5.
And finally, there's the TV edited version. And to quote Bam Margera, "It's gonna suck," which censors everything and cuts out some of the biggest moments, such as the butt chug and everything else.
Sorry, Dad, but nobody's gonna miss this for the world.
If anyone wants to know what version of Jackass 2 I would prefer, I will most likely go with the unrated version, as it is the better version to go for. Number 3. The big red rocket was the main selling point on the poster. It's here we get to the Big Red Rocket, which sees Johnny Knoxville testing out the big red comically large rocket, only for it to malfunction and then try it again, but this time making it more successful. This scene was the most important aspect of Jackass 2 so far, so much so that it became the film's original theatrical poster, which features a still of the Big Red Rocket scene, making that scene's appearance in the film the main selling point. There are some alternative posters, such as this one which features the Skull and Crutches design, which was mainly used as some sort of a teaser poster that was shown way back when the film was about to come out. And this one for the home media release, which sees the Jackass crew running away from some animals, which is basically the opening scene of Jackass 2. However, it was the Big Red Rocket that graced the original theatrical poster for Jackass 2. Although it might have been way more better than the original theatrical poster for Airplane. In fact, that scene of the Big Red Rocket may reminded me of that rocket scene from Disney's Toy Story, which I do not like the most. But thank God for Johnny Knoxville, he went to the moon for that one.
I'm Johnny Knoxville and I'm going to the moon!
It's a damn good thing that the Big Red Rocket became the main selling point on the theatrical poster for Jackass 2, even though it was followed up by the worst mode ever in the form of Terror Taxi. But however, there was one scene that topped it, and that was... Number 2. That ending scene. This is the moment you have all been waiting for, the scene that made Jackass 2 what it is. The iconic scene that everyone remembers, including myself, the Bear Trap musical scene. I mean, come on, you already know this scene. Johnny Knoxville and the other Jackass crew are on the hotel area. They see the bear trap on the table. Knoxville puts his hand on it, the bear trap catches it, and they all scream in horror. Then the walls of the hotel area fall apart, and right at that moment... Then you have Preston Lacey and Jason Acuna sliding down, which is all lubed up by the way, and crashing into the tin buckets and getting closer to the camera, falling down. Then it goes into a construction working site where we can clearly see that all the Jackass members are there, and you have Dave England and Aaron McGahee on the cement mixer falling down to the ground and hurting themselves. Then you get Steve-O doing a synchronized swimming thing, which clearly involves a front flip with fire, and then crashing into the water. And that shot where the ring is coming out and he's holding it, that was done in reverse. Then you get the firehouse section where Christopher Pontius is stripping off his own robe, where he literally becomes his party boy getup, particularly the one from the first film, and then jumping out of a window, bouncing to a trampoline, and then gets hosed because Jackass. And then finally, a western section with Knoxville, Ryan Dunn, and Ben Margera, with a whole bunch of the Jackass crew members clearly just doing the whole John Wayne thing. Then we get the hat throw, then we get the lasso movement, and then it leads into the whole blood clot moment, and then a bunch of the Jackass members clearly reveal Knoxville, who's clearly doing this Buster Keaton thing. And then he gets whacked by the wrecking ball, and Trent Taylor shows up.
Oh, Jackass, to your ass. Do me a favor. And you wonder why I drink? I drink to steady my nerves. I was so steady I couldn't move last week, but I had vodka and prune juice. It's called a pile driver. I'll be okay.
The scene was shot entirely at the Paramount Studio backlot. And yes, indeed, it is the Paramount Studio backlot that they were filming at. And it was all done set to the best of times from the Birdcage. And this scene right here is considered a what the fuck moment. That is until 2024 when Wicked Part 1 came out, when the last 7 minutes of the film were considered a big what the fuck moment. But it's Jackass 2 that has the most important, most ambitious, straight in your face, what the fuck film moment. And so, for what it's worth, the Bear Trap musical scene set to the best of times from the Birdcage is considered a what the fuck moment. Unless you can count the other what the fuck moments from other films like Airplane 2 the sequel and Wicked Part 1. Now before we get to number 1, here's a bonus fact. The soundtrack. Best of time spare track musical scene aside, the soundtrack to Jackass 2 is by far one of the most ridiculous things ever made to put onto audio. The soundtrack features some tracks from the film that were done by artists at that time, along with some audio clips from the film itself, including one of them that was taken from a lost deleted scene, that being the Dawn Video 2 pull scene. The soundtrack features some songs that were being made at that time, such as Getting Fucked Up by 3-6 Mafia and Jackass by Karen O. Christopher Pontius did make a track that was made for Jackass 2 called Crazy, and there was a video that was put out, and I had to say, it looks janky as fuck. However, there was a track that was released to promote the film called Joker and the Thief, which was done by Australian band Wolf Mother, and a video was made for it which actually features the cast of Jackass. And I'm not kidding, this was Memories by Weezer before Memories by Weezer. And you wanna know what's odd about this? This song, Joker and the Thief, even though it was released to coincide with the theatrical release of Jackass 2, and it was put into the rocket cart scene, it was not included on the soundtrack, in favor of a sound clip from a lost deleted scene, despite the fact that it was credited in the closing credits. And speaking of the credits, the track Treatment Bound by The Replacements, even though it was played in the credits, it was not included on the soundtrack at all. Just imagine if some record label would have taken the entire soundtrack, removed the sound clip from the lost deleted scene, and replaced it with Treatment Bound and Joker and the Thief. Maybe that might work. And yes, it features the best of times from the most what the fuck moment ever. So good luck with that. And also, despite the fact that the Minutemen song Corona from 1984, which was considered to be the main theme from Jackass, even though it was played in the opening and somehow in the closing credits, it was not included on the soundtrack. Again, the record label should have expanded it and replaced the lost deleted scene audio clip with those particular tracks that were not on it. Number 1. Jackass Box Office Mayhem Part 2. Jackass 2 was released on the 22nd of September of 2006 and was actually the biggest film ever made in the history of the world. And yes, it is very freaking successful, earning at about $84.6 million on a budget of $11.5 million. Yes, this is the one that breaks all evens. Take that, Airplane, you son of a bitch! The critics were so fucking obsessed with this film. Well, I guess those negative receptions from the first film that was shown in the second film's trailer made sense of it at all. So yeah, that was a big miss, with the New York Times calling it debased, infantile, and reckless in the extreme. This compendium of body bravado and malfunction makes for some of the most fearless, liberated, and cathartic comedy in modern films. And Richard Roper, along with Fred Willard, gave it a 2 thumbs up rating. You see what I mean? They gave a negative reception on the first film according to the trailer for this film, and now they just gave it a successful award? What a brilliant idea!
This is the switcheroo.
In conclusion, Jackass 2 is by far one of the greatest, most important films ever made in the history of cinema alone. And with a lot of it being so necessary, it makes a lot of it that makes sense, and it does indeed count. Because, in the words of the cast of Jackass, the best of times is now. May I say this? Jackass 2 is the best fucking film ever. Take that, Airplane, you son of a bitch. But I do have one negative thing surrounding Jackass 2. That is, of course, Bam's parents. Due to the fact that his father was more calmer than he ever was in the first film, when, in the first film he's more louder than ever, in the second film they just calmed him down. But his mother, on the other hand, what the fuck is she doing? She's even more insane than what she is in the first film. But they somewhat calmed her down, which basically became the appearance that she was in Jackass 3D. God, I hate her so much. But anyways, that was my look into Jackass 2. I hope that everyone can agree with me, and I think you probably already know about it by now. So what are you waiting for? Go on to Netflix and watch the unrated version of Jackass 2, because it is the best one ever. Anyways, hope you have a good day, and what the hell is this? The 20th anniversary of Jackass 2? I mean, come on. Best film ever made. Who cares? Screw you, Airplane. Anyways, I hope you all had a good day, and I'm off to find the version of Jackass 2 that has the Don Vito Lamborghini tooth pull.
That was intense. Really intense. Well, not really intense, but pretty intense.
If you want to send some stuff to me so I can check out what you have sent, please send it to this exact address. However, you may only send some stuff that I am interested in. No Airplane, okay? Because if you send something like this, I will make sure that I will tell you that I do not like this film at all. That and the individual 4K release, which had the exact same front cover artwork as the 40th anniversary steelbook. Come on, you gotta be kidding me. Unless if you would send me that Zucker Abraham Zucker 3 film collection set that I'm gonna get for top secret, which I actually do have a version of it, and I will show it to you in 12 seconds. Well, you can probably tell that I'm not gonna get it for Airplane, I'm not gonna get it for Naked Gun, I'm only getting it just for top secret. However, I do think that you should send the set as a whole because, let's face it, it's a big deal. Well, we did get the 4K only edition for some reason, and yes, I got it for top secret. You see that? I told you I would get it. So make sure you send stuff like this, or this, or this, or this. And yes, even Airplane 2 the sequel. Oh, and get this, a special collector's edition of Twister, complete with a steelbook that features not only the secondary poster artwork, but the image of the pipe scene on the back. Heck yeah, I'm getting this. Well, actually, we do have the double feature set, which consists of Twister and Twisters, so we're pretty dang close. And also Airplane 2 the sequel, which had this cover. Just look at those nuts. I can't keep up with them all. And even the one in the original theatrical poster. Like, look at it. And just look at this poster for the worst film of all time. I mean, come on, do they really need to tie that plane up into another? I mean, that part never actually happened in the film. I mean, they clearly just used a toy model plane. Like, come on, really? And yes, this is what the plane actually looks like in the film. And here's another image of that same goddamn plane model, also from the film. God damn it, I hate this film. And even here, in this Australian VHS cover for the film, where the plane looked completely different, where it had a much longer nose compared to the original poster's shorter nose, and they gave it some eyes and a full-on smile, making it look like that the plane is actually freaking laughing. And it looked terrifying. Thank God it didn't even make it into the DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K releases. And its different titles, like this one known as Flying High, but I would refer to the film with this title. And the same exact thing happened with Airplane 2 the sequel. And we found the reason why. Universal. And the Concorde Airport 79. Universal didn't even want the title of Airplane being used in all parts of the globe, so the title had to be changed. And as for the Concorde Airport 79, however, not only did they have to avoid competing against Airplane or Flying High in some parts of the globe, but they also changed the marketing campaign from "At twice the speed of sound, can the Concorde evade attack?" to "See it for the drama, see it for the laughs." Why? Because Airplane exists. Or so we thought. But not so in this case, because on the 4K release, yep, it's still called Airplane, not Flying High. Do you agree that it's still called Airplane and not Flying High? Do you? Do you? Well, I don't think so, you confusing title-changing nerd. I just hated it so much. So make sure you send in to this address, and I hope to God I will look at them. And in the words of the good old immortal named Connor McLeod,
there can be only one.
If you came to party, make some noise. If you came to party, make some noise.
Airplane just opened the door to Hollywood for us for as long as we wanted it. I mean, it really worked pretty well, and we understood that kind of humor, so we could do that.
you're gonna love this end screen we made by ourselves. 60 frames per second and all. Scariest plane of all time? Make sure you look at the logo for some reason, because it's getting wicked.